You can.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here today. We have Shayna here, and we are going to be talking everything health. I am so excited about this. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at Her Talk Show. If you have not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. These podcasts are guaranteed to have you thinking differently about
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. Listen, we have had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. Shayna Melissa Stockman, RN, BC-ANP, and PNP, is a nationally board certified nurse practitioner and RN for over 30 years. She suffered autoimmune disorders, debilitating pain, and heart failure, yet helped heal herself holistically without medication. That is the key there, my friends. Then her doctors became her clients, integrating naturopathic with gene activation. She's changed thousands of lives and is now known as the world wellness expert. Girl, what?
High five.
I love the vibration of everything you are.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I absolutely love your show. Thank you for
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit, teach us some things, and dive into some of your past, some of your story. I mean, I'm assuming that a lot of this journey that you've been on is because of your own story.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so can you share?
Ooh, where do you want me to start? Start at the beginning. My grandma, I'm gonna date my age here. My grandma raised me, God rest her soul, in the 70s. So she taught me the power of the plant, and I grew up around it. And I would watch her salt so she wouldn't need a blood pressure pill, and eat a banana for the potassium so she wouldn't need a heart pill. And I would see what she was doing and observing it. And then when I went to, say, science class, I would put the pieces of the puzzle together. I would say, wait, salt helps you retain water. I would watch grandma watch her salt in her intake, and then she didn't need her blood pressure pill. So I started putting the pieces together. And then I went into nursing, and that was another long story. I went into nursing. I had a scholarship, but I didn't know if I wanted to go into nursing. But back then it was either teacher or nurse for the most part with the women. That's what we were taught. And I was like, well, I love helping people. I don't know. And I was in a really bad accident, and this nurse really impacted my life. I said, wow, she'll never know how many lives she impacted and how many of those lives impacted more lives. I'm like, she likes helping people. I like helping people. Whoa, I had the scholarship. Maybe this is God's word and my calling. So I went into nursing, and then they had budget cuts, and the payout of my scholarship was zero. But I was still awarded the scholarship. So I went into nursing to help people. I loved helping people. Grandma loved putting smiles on faces. I liked doing that. And I knew I could put more smiles on more faces. So I went into nursing, and I was brought up with naturopathy, the power of the plant, to use it. We didn't really, when I was growing up, we didn't use medicine. We used the power of the plant in God's medicine cabinet. And we never went to the doctor. And I was healthy my whole time. I never got sick. And then I was trained traditionally as well. So after 30 years of traditional college classes, 5 college degrees later, 4 nursing and medical licenses, that I fused it all together. The naturopathy I grew up with the more modern Western medicine, which is several modalities I fused together.
Wow. Yeah. What a journey.
Yeah, journey. Yes, and I love merging several modalities together. I think they each have their place and their purpose. But when we merge multiple modalities together, we get synergistic effects, better outcomes, happier clients. So I use more holistic approach. I look at body, mind, spirit, and cellular level. That's called holistic medicine. But I also use naturopathic medicine, which is the power of the plant, and botanicals when possible. And I also use functional medicine, which is attack the root cause. The problem I have with that word is when we usually attack the root cause, we usually don't need the medicine. So I've been doing functional medicine before there ever was a college for functional medicine. And I kind of blend them all together with integrative medicine. Integrative medicine kind of integrates in old Eastern technology with Western modern technologies. So if someone's on medicine, I can integrate in alternatives. And if they're on alternatives, if I need, I can integrate into medicine. So I use all of those modalities together with biohacking, newer technology to activate genes in your genetic pathways. So your body actually does what it used to do and should do. So we can get back to the way we used to feel. So I merge
Wow.
blender, fuse it.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about biohacking. I think that I'm hearing this
Mm,
word more and more and more now, but
yes,
not a lot of people
yes,
really know what
yes.
exactly it is. It sounds cool,
Okay.
but what
Yeah.
is it?
There's different ways to biohack. And I learned this in the 70s from my grandma. Now, if you break up the word, it's a little easier to think about bio and hacking. So bio is like your own biology, the form and function of your own body. And hacking is taking control over. If somebody hacks your computer, they take control over it. So basically, biohacking is taking control over your own biology. And we're only talking about this now, but I was taught this in the 70s from my grandmother. She was well ahead of her time. For example, she biohacked is all her siblings had diabetes, brothers and sisters. So we know it ran in her family. But she knew if she ate right, stayed away from sugary and processed foods, that she can suppress that family gene for diabetes. So although all her siblings had diabetes, she ate right, used the power of the plant, never ever developed diabetes. So we have the power to biohack, take control over our own biology, and decide if that gene is going to be expressed for diabetes or suppressed. And there's other ways to biohack. People do it with diet, people do it with activating genes. If you go out in the sun, you might increase your risk of sun cancer. If you smoke cigarettes, you might increase your risk of your family gene for lung cancer. So there's different ways to biohack. I like to do it with plants and how we eat, what we put in and on our body, but also activating genes so our body does what it used to do and should do. I mean, that's where the magic happens. That's mixing the
Yeah.
newest with the old school. That's
Wow.
what
Wow.
the world has changed my life. Yeah.
How interesting that she was doing all of this so long ago. Was she just intuitive?
Yes.
Like she just
Yes.
intuitively?
She was
Wow.
extremely decades ahead of her time. And I like to think that I learned some of it from her. And I am so far ahead of my time. Only years from now are you going to hear more about this and be like, wait, who was that intuitive holistic healer back then? Mm.
Wow. Very, very interesting. I know you talk a lot about um how there's over 100 autoimmune
Yes.
disorders. I didn't
Yes.
realize there was that many of them. Does the things that you're talking about here help with many of those or all? How does that
Oh,
work?
yes, yes, yes. Autoimmune disorders have a gene component, a genetic component. Often, think about it like this, often they run in the family, right? If your mom has, say, asthma has an autoimmune component. You're more likely to have asthma. So we know it's in your genetic makeup. And there's over 100 different autoimmune disorders. People don't realize. I'm going to give you a handful of them. All
Okay.
those hyperactive, all those ones where people are hypersensitive, asthma, eczema, psoriasis, irritable bowel, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, lupus. Those are just some autoimmune disorders. People don't realize, even Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, certain diabetes. People don't realize they're autoimmune related. See, that's the problem is modern medicine, most of the doctors are not getting to their root cause of the autoimmune underlying problem. So what they just try to do is suppress your immune system so it doesn't fight itself, because they think with autoimmune disorders, your immune system is fighting and attacking itself. So they suppress your immune system so it stops fighting itself. The problem with that is when you suppress someone's immune system, they are more likely to catch infectious, contagious diseases. They're sick more often. Now they don't have the immunity. So when they get sick, it's a lot longer. So now what you did is made them sick more often and longer. And then on top of it, most of those medications increase their weight. You see, women, most autoimmune disorders, 75 to 80% of them are diagnosed in the women. So the last thing you want to do with a lady, for most of them, is give them a medication that's going to increase their weight, right? Because now with higher weight, now you become diabetic. You have high blood pressure. Now you need more pills. And it's pills on top of the pills on top of the pills. And that's what happened. I knew with autoimmune disorders, over the 30 plus years I've been in the health and medical nursing industry, I would see these patients go to the specialist, the rheumatologist, go on the meds for autoimmune disorders, and they were sick more often and sick longer. So I knew, and also what that does is not only it increases their weight, which increases their, they're more likely to get diabetes, hypertension, more pills. It also thins their bones, right? And these patients that were treated by traditional specialists were sick more often after they were treated. And I knew when I was diagnosed, I did not want that. I had to think differently and do differently to get different outcomes.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about why I'm hearing everything you're saying. How does a doctor think that decreasing or 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 weakening, I guess, somebody's immune system
Mhm.
help with
Yes.
the autoimmune disorders? How does that even work? I don't get that.
Okay. The thing is here, they go to medicine school to practice medicine. That's what they are taught. And, it's three-quarters of the autoimmunes are in women. So 3 out of 4 autoimmune problems are in the women. It's they're only the doctors, I can't blame them. They only know what they're taught. In medicine school, they are taught medicine. So in medicine school, they're just a simple algorithm. If this, do that. If this, do that. They don't look at the overall whole picture. And
Okay.
I started noticing over the years, all my patients that had autoimmune problems that went to the specialist for treatment, no matter what specialist it was, and no matter what treatment they got, they were all suppressing their immune system. They were all heavier. They all had higher sugars, higher blood pressure, thinner bones, breaking bones, sicker more often, sicker longer. And I knew to get a different outcome, I had to do something differently. And just to maybe raise awareness here, a lot of people probably have autoimmune problems and they don't know it, especially since they had the protection or the infection. I am seeing a huge uproar in autoimmune problems. And I believe it's twofold. One of it is the protection was never supposed to be giving us DNA. However, they snuck in DNA. And then what DNA does is it controls your cells and your biology. And that's where when I biohack, I'm taking back that control. And biohacking and activating genes has changed the life of all of my autoimmune clients. So we're taking back the power. We're taking back that genetic expression and suppression to take control again. So I'm seeing a huge uproar since the protection and since the infection on autoimmune problems. You might notice some of your friends maybe never had rashes before. And now all of a sudden in midlife, they're getting diagnosed with eczema for the first time or dermatitis. Or they never wheezed and all of a sudden they have asthma in their 50s. This is autoimmune components from protection or infection. And it's hugely increased dramatically. It's insane. But the
So
answer is not suppression, not
yeah,
suppression
so
of your immune system.
the DNA that you're talking about that is being given to people, is that being given to people in like vaccines?
Yeah, I try to stay away from certain words. When you come to my live in-person talks, that's where I spill all the beans. Sometimes on platforms, I have to watch what I say so that people can hear it. So I would say there was not supposed to be DNA in, that, but
Okay.
there was. They studied
Okay.
what was left in the vial, and it was found to have DNA mixed in it. And
How does
DNA
someone
controls your cells.
Yeah, how does somebody have an autoimmune but not know that they have an autoimmune? How does that work?
Oh, this is a good question. Okay. Autoimmune, it's like this. It could be all different symptoms, and it's different for everybody. The key that I noticed is a lot of times your doctors are baffled and can't figure it out. And there's something not right, but the doctors can't figure it out and the tests don't show it. And a lot of times it could be weird rashes that come and go. And you didn't change your soap, your deodorant, your shampoo. You can't think of any food that triggered it. Autoimmune problems seem to be anytime a doctor can't diagnose it or a test doesn't show it and you don't feel right and your doctor gives you false reassurance that, hey, everything's fine, the test didn't show anything, it's usually autoimmune. And a lot of them it could be symptoms that usually come and go whenever they want. You can't pinpoint a trigger that brought it on or what made it go away. Steroids magically make it go away. If you go to the doctor and he's like, I don't know what it is, take the prednisone, it gets better. And then you have another flare up. Autoimmunes, not only are they mysterious, they come and go when they want. You can't figure out often a trigger or what makes it better other than maybe prednisone from the doctor. But it could be weird rashes. It could be irritable bowel. It could be wheezing. It could be if you're a lady and you've gone to the doctor and they're giving you false reassurance that the test is okay and nothing's showing up, it's probably autoimmune. And a lot of times it won't show up on the traditional tests they do. It just won't.
Wow.
Yes. And I've been through that where sometimes I don't want to generalize all doctors, but most of them typically tend to be the men taller that look down upon the women and act like maybe if you go to the doctor and they act like maybe you're over exaggerating, it's not that bad, the tests are fine. And you're like, doc, I know there's something wrong. And they're like, hey, you're just getting older. This is life. Deal with it. It's probably autoimmune. A lot of times it won't show. If you want to do a test that might show it, ask your doctor for testing for inflammation, okay? SED rate, ESR, or you can do a blood test called ANA for autoimmune antibodies. But it doesn't mean, if it's negative, it doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means the test didn't detect it. Especially if you're not during a flare-up, your inflammatory markers might be normal. So say you go to the doctor when you're not having a flare and he does the blood work and he's like, hey, no, you're fine. You don't have autoimmune. So they can rule it in. They don't necessarily rule it out. So I would say, come to me. I have a lot of clients in other states, countries, and continents. And I do private virtual visits like this, one-on-one on a Zoom-like setting where I go through their symptoms and what tests they had and what they tried and what they didn't try and help them figure out their triggers.
Yeah. Is a lot of this figured out through blood, like through blood work?
No. Yes and no. Blood work can give us a little clue, but it does not necessarily rule it in or rule it out. A lot of times the ANA test for autoimmunes might be negative, but you still have an autoimmune disorder. And a lot of times the inflammatories are high. The inflammatory markers say a SED rate, ESR, but your autoimmune test is negative. So supposedly you have inflammation that shows in the blood work, but it's not autoimmune. The testing is not an exact science. There's always false negatives or false positives, or you could have both. That's why it's so hard to diagnose. It's not a specific test.
Got it. So is this why I've heard so often in my life when people say they've been misdiagnosed, where they were
Yes.
taking medication for one thing, but then it turned out to be not even that thing?
Yes, yes, yes. And also, a lot of time, the healthcare providers or the doctors, they don't know what it is. They stick you on prednisone, steroids, because it seems, since it's an anti-inflammatory, it seems to magically make it go away. But what they don't tell a lot of the patients is what happens is typically with autoimmune, you get a flare up, the doctor sticks you on the prednisone, the steroids, it goes away, you get better. You get another flare up, you go back, the other tests don't show it, you go back on the steroids. And you keep doing this multiple times. You keep going to the doctor and you're going on the steroids, you're getting better. And then finally, he says, hey, let's just keep you on a low dose of steroids. But they don't tell you that those steroids make you fatter. When you get heavier, that raises your sugars, that raises your blood pressure. Now you're diabetic. Now you're hypertensive. The steroids also thins your bone. So now you're more likely to have osteoporosis and a bone fracture. So they don't
Wow.
necessarily tell you this, but they should be.
Wow.
And I don't want
Wow.
to say doctors, I'm not bashing all of them, but for the most part, they just have a couple of minutes. They're not going to sit down with you and go through your triggers. So that's where I will sit down. I have online classes, courses, and workshops. I don't want to just give you a prescription for your autoimmune, say here, and maybe you get one question with or without food. I want to help you. And what I do with you is I will help you find out your triggers. I'm not going to say stay away from everything, ice cream, because maybe you love ice cream and the lactose is not your trigger. So I will help you with either with a class, a course, workshop, or individually find out what foods are triggering your problem, what drinks are triggering your problem. Not only what's triggering it and what stressors and environment, but what foods you can use for their natural medicinal purposes. A lot of foods, the power of the plant can help you. Like there's foods that will inflame you, and there are foods that will help you reduce inflammation. And during all of my online events, if it's a course or one-on-one with you, I will help you figure out what is good for you. I will show you what foods are natural anti-inflammatories that in your busy lifestyle, you can make a quick cooking recipe or a one-pot wonder with all natural anti-inflammatories.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
insane.
When you were talking there, you said food or environment. How does the
Yes.
environment impact our autoimmune?
Yes, a lot of people don't realize. Well, you might realize if you're really run down and you're not sleeping, your immune system's down and you're more likely to catch something contagious and infectious. So lack of sleep really can exacerbate your autoimmune problems, and so can stressors, physical stressors, psychological stressors, people's environment. I've seen patients come in, they're like, oh, my blood pressure was high at work. And they come to me after work and it's fine, right? And they've done this a few times. And it's the work environment causing their blood pressure to go high. Or another example is ladies that go to their lady doctor, the OBGYN. She then sends them to me because their blood pressure is high. Well, their blood pressure was high because they stressed about getting a pap exam, right? And they come to me and it's fine. So the emotional stress can really cause physical problems. It can cause high blood pressure, gastritis, ulcers. People even get rashes sometimes just from their emotional stress hives, they call it. So there's
Yeah.
so many different components to it. And I'm more than just here, take this prescription. So when I had my own autoimmune problems, I knew I was not just going to take that. I'm like, wait, you're going to suppress my immune system during the height of a lethal pandemic. And this is supposed to help me get better. I'm like, ladies, we need to think twice about this. I was like, no, you have to be your own advocate. If your healthcare provider is not getting you healthy, you need to consider firing them and getting another healthcare provider that's going to listen to you. Get a second opinion.
Yeah. So you're saying that when all of this came to you in your journey, the ailments, you took a heavy look at your environment and your food, and
Yes,
everything changed.
well, first, I was trained to go to the doctor, right? I didn't want to self-diagnose and treat, so I did that. But I find, like I found with a lot of the patients, the tests often don't show it. The doctors blow you off. They're like, "Oh, you're, female, you're probably exaggerating, or you're just getting older. Just deal with it." And I'm like, something's not right. If you're a lady out there and you know something's not right and they're giving you reassurance, be your own advocate. Reach out for more testing, a second opinion. Come to me, I'll do a virtual one-on-one visit with you no matter what state, country, continent you're on, and I will help you figure it out. So I knew I had to be my own advocate, and I didn't want that traditional medicine that was keeping all my patients sicker longer and giving them more health problems than when they started,
Wow.
So I took a good look at what stresses, emotional stressors, physical stressors, what foods exacerbate my problem, what I'm drinking exacerbates my problems, what triggers to stay away from, and then what foods can I use for their natural effects, foods that reduce inflammation, foods that act like natural diuretics, because medications, there's a time and a place. I'm not against them, but too much in the US, we just want to resort to a pill, a prescription. And that's a lot of times people need to know they can cause side effects, drug interactions, dependencies, overdoses. There's a time and a place for them. And in my book, it's not first. It's just not, because I see the dependencies. I see the interactions. With my autoimmune problems, for instance, here you have pain, take a med, right? What happens with a lot of people on pain meds? They get hooked on them. They get dependent on them physically and emotionally. They need more and more and more to get the same effect. And then a lot of people on prescription pills then resort to street drugs to get that high, to get that feeling, to take away the pain. And that's why we have such a huge opioid epidemic, fentanyl, morphine. It's, a lot of them started off with a prescription pain pill, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So, I didn't want to be taking one pill to weaken my immune system, then getting sick, needing another pill for the pain. And I felt that's what they were doing. I didn't want to be dependent on the pills because I see what happens,
Totally.
And I find when you get to the root cause, you see, medicine pretty much is like a Band-Aid on a garden hose, a masking tape. It masks the symptoms, but it doesn't get rid of it. And picture that garden hose with the masking tape. The underlying problem is still there. So it's getting worse and worse and worse. And sooner or later, it's going to blow. So the doctor gives you one med for the autoimmune. Now you're sick. Now you need an antibiotic. Now you have pain. So you go on Oxy for the pain. Now you're getting hooked on that. Now you get an ulcer from the anti-inflammatory. So you need a pill for that. Now your weight's getting higher. Now you're diabetic. So I didn't want that vicious cycle of pill for a pill for a pill. And a lot of times with autoimmune, some of the ladies might relate to this. Here, try this. What am I, a guinea pig, right? Oh, it didn't help. Let's up the dose. Okay, now let's add on this other medicine. Now, oh, you're getting a side effect. You're getting some gastritis from that anti-inflammatory. Let's give you a pill for your stomach now.
Yeah.
It's like, and when does
Totally.
it stop? So I like, when I get to the root cause, instead of putting that masking tape on the garden hose, what if I just change the hose, right? Now the problem is gone and you don't need more tape and more tape and more tape. And what if, like I have a patient that came in one time, I'll never forget, for a cough. And in taking his blood pressure, it was high, taking family history, he had blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, checked his sugar, fasting, it was high. And he had knee pain. But his underlying cause of everything was his weight. I helped him drop over 100 pounds. His blood pressure went to normal. He didn't need the blood pressure pills. His diabetes went away. He didn't need those pills. His knee pain resolved. And without the extra weight, his immune system wasn't as suppressed. He wasn't getting sick all the time. So we have to get to the underlying cause. And the prescription usually is not attacking the cause. It's just treating the symptom. Like you have the rash from the autoimmune. It's treating the external rash, but it's not getting to the root cause. So I like to get to the root cause. When we get to the root cause, it solves the problem, right? Now, when I got to my root cause of my autoimmune, my problems went away. My symptoms, my pain, I had debilitating 10 out of 10 pain. They just want to throw Oxy at me. I didn't want that. I had severe pain, irritable bowel, weird rashes that came and went, wheezing that I never had before in my life, full-blown heart failure, and I was diagnosed with MS. And I'm like, my symptoms are getting worse listening to the doctors, right? And I'm like, how much worse can I get? I'm in heart failure. How much worse can the heart get? So I knew I had to get to the root cause, because that was the only way to stop it from getting worse and try to
And
reverse it.
and all of this is happening while you're a nurse?
Yeah, yeah. And I was just listening to the doctors and the specialists, because that's how we were trained, right?
Yeah.
So I knew, I'm like, forget it. I'm gonna self-treat. I'm not saying other providers out there, you should be doing that. But I knew, because I'm at this point, I'm in heart failure and my heart's getting worse. And now I'll give you an example. I went to the heart specialist at the time, not the current one. And he's like, listen, I said, we have to get to the cause, because otherwise I'm still getting worse. He goes, listen, 95% of my patients, I never get to the cause. This is what the heart specialist said. I'm like, wait, you have one body part to do. And if 95 out of every 100 patients, you don't know the cause of their heart failure, you're never going to stop that progression. Because I asked him, I said, listen, doc, with all due respect, the meds don't help me feel better. Are they going to stop the progression? No. Are they going to slow down the progression? No. Are they going to reverse it? No. And I'm like, well, then what am I doing here? I knew I had to get to the cause to stop the progression and reverse it. Now, just so you know, fast forward, since I have no more pain, because I treated my underlying cause of the inflammation and the genes. I have no more pain. I'm on no prescription meds now. So without med, I have no pain, no more fatigue, no more exhaustion, no more weird rashes, no more shortness of breath, wheezing, no more heart failure. My heart is functioning normal now, that I don't need any medications because I have no symptoms. Now, without the meds, I don't have dependencies, side effects, interactions, overdoses. Whoa, what a concept. So we have to attack the root cause of the problem. And I know I can do that. And a lot of the time, sadly enough, the specialist, the rheumatologist is not enough. He's not trained in what I
Totally.
know. He's just not. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
passionate. Can you tell? So I want to help. I want to help millions more out there that, you know what, it took me 30 years of knowledge, nursing, medical experience, and seeing patients to get where I'm at. And I want to help expedite everybody's journey. They can start doing a little research on their own, but you know what? That's going to take them years and years. I don't want them to have to suffer. I can expedite their journey, take out all the fluff, and just say, hey, listen, here is the meats and bones of what you need. And that's what I want to help for a lot of people. I'd rather them come to me sooner. Can I give you a quick example? No, it's time yet. Okay, cool. So I was recently on a podcast, and the lady was a nurse. She had a podcast for nurses. And she sent me her daughter, and I disclose this because they're very public about it. She sent me her daughter that's, had autoimmune problems. Now, she went to all the doctors, she went to all the specialists, she was going to the rheumatologist about 3 years. Multiple autoimmune problems, including lupus, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, a couple others. And most people have more than one autoimmune problem for the most part. And she was on 9 prescription pills a day when she came to me, multiple autoimmune problems, going to the specialist, religiously did everything they said. And then the meds caused more problems, caused GI upset, caused high blood pressure. So now from the anti-inflammatory, she needed blood pressure pills. She's up to 9 pills a day, comes to me, pain 10 out of a pain scale of 10 out of 10 on the most part, sometimes 8, walking with a cane at times, sad and gaining weight from the meds. After she started coming to me, within a month to 2 months, her pain level was cut down in half. She was no longer needing the cane. She was off 8.5 of the 9 prescription medications. She was finally starting to drop the weight. Her blood pressure was better, and she was happier. I gave her back the quality of life.
Was this after 4 weeks, you said, or 8? What'd you say?
What we did was, after she was getting better and her blood pressure and everything was more stable, we slowly started tapering off one med at a time. So the changes started about 8 weeks in, about 4 weeks in. And before 2 months, she had half the pain and was off 8.5 of the 9 prescription pills.
Wow. Beautiful.
Sometimes it could take longer, sometimes it's a lot quicker, but that's just a typical story. I can't just say that's an extraordinary case of mine. I gotta say that's like a typical case.
Wow. Absolutely. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I'd love for you to we have a ton of people watching live right now, by the way. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for being
yeah.
here with us.
Yes.
So appreciate it. They're obviously resonating with all the goodness that you're sharing. And
Oh,
obviously the
thank you.
numbers that you're sharing with us are just extreme. So I'm sure that there's so many individuals that are dealing with this or know somebody who's dealing with this, which is why they're watching. I would love for you to talk a little bit, as we're wrapping up here, talk a little bit about, exactly what you do and exactly who
Sure.
you help, who should be reaching out to you.
Okay, fine. There's over 50 million diagnosed with autoimmune issues right now in the US. And those are just the ones diagnosed. And 75 to 80% of them are in the females. So out of all the autoimmune cases, 3 out of 4 are diagnosed in females, and most have multiple. And autoimmune is one of the top 10 leading causes of death. Whoa. Does and people don't know this. Um, so the ones I help the most are the ones that are open-minded to something other than a traditional prescription. Those that I can help the most are the ones that tried traditional, either don't want to or tried it and is still suffering. I I've never had someone I could not help. I don't care if they've been to 10 specialists, had every test that they know of a few times, and they couldn't figure it out and thought they tried everything. Those are the ones I know I can help you, and I can help you the most. I predominantly work with females, but I do treat males. I'm licensed as a nationally board certified nurse practitioner for adults and children. So I truly treat everyone from the newborn up to the 100+ year old, predominantly women. Just because I'm based on Long Island, New York, I still have patients and clients in other states, countries, and continents. I have online classes, courses, and workshops. So they can learn from me multiple ways. The online classes, courses, and workshops are going to give you a lot of the gold nuggets, not like the doctor says, here's a script. So a lot of the information, what foods, what drinks, what environmental stressors, for autoimmune, what tests to go for, what treatments are out there, what alternatives they can do. That's in a lot of my classes, courses, and workshops, as well as my one-on-ones. So what I do is I offer sometimes a complimentary 15-minute call visit to see if we're a good fit and to help gear them towards if it's a class, course, workshop, or one-on-one with them. So some people want to learn a lot on their own, and so a lot of my classes, courses, and workshops come with a private consultation with me. So my upcoming class, I have Get Healthy and Happy with Me. I have a couple coming up. One is biohacking basics. It's going to tell you what is biohacking, why is it important, how do we do it? And so the biohacking basics is going to give them what they need. And I'm going to have another one coming up soon, food pharmacy, what foods might trigger your autoimmune problems and what foods might help it. And the classes, courses, and workshops also come with a weekly live with me where I get on to recap and highlight the main points, and weekly group Zoom where they can hop on and ask their questions in a group-like setting for everyone to know the answer. But they also come with a private consultation. So if you want to know more about your specific problem and what to do for you specifically, it also comes with a consult. So I recommend one of the classes, courses, and workshops that comes with a consult, so you have both. So we can, and a lot of it, they can reach out to my YouTube channel. The handle is Shayna Melissa. Everything I have on my website, worldwellnessexpert.com. And even the book, Overcoming Life Obstacles, I wrote a lot of the gold nuggets in there. It reached #1 internationally. They can get that on my website, Overcoming Life Obstacles on Amazon or my website. So basically, everything's on my website, worldwellnessexpert.com. In the top, they have a whole bunch of my social media links. They can subscribe to my YouTube channel called Shayna Melissa. They can follow me at Shayna Melissa Stockman on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Just search Shayna Melissa Stockman, and it's all on my website. When they go there, they can get the newsletter. That's how they can keep in touch with me. Sign up to get the infrequent newsletter. And also what we have there, there's something really cool. Daily dose of positivity. I have a daily dose. They need a free daily dose of positivity. They just go to worldwellnessexpert.com/30 days, submit their email, and they'll get a daily dose of positivity with a nice little call to action. And it might say, hey, did you subscribe to her YouTube today? Or, hey, treat yourself as good as your bestie. So it gives them a daily dose of positivity. So I guess I'd say, sum it up, they can, everything on the website, worldwellnessexpert.com. From there, they can subscribe to my YouTube called Shayna Melissa. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Get the newsletter at worldwellnessexpert.com. Sign up for the daily dose of positivity. A lot of people love that. That's worldwellnessexpert.com/30 days. And that's probably the best way, because then from there, we'll maintain contact and they can follow me elsewhere. So yes,
Beautiful.
worldwellnessexpert.com/30 days. And it's so
Awesome.
cool because that daily dose of positivity, they can use it as a screensaver for their phone or their laptop.
Awesome. That's great.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. This has been
Thank you.
phenomenal. I took a whole page of notes, so I really appreciate all the goodness that you shared and all the value that you shared today. For those of you listening live who are resonating with Shayna and all the goodness that she's sharing, make sure you check out her website, worldwellnessexpert.com. It is in a clickable link in the description below, wherever you are watching us at. Shayna, as far as social media, anyone who wants to follow you, your journey, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, where do you predominantly hang out?
I've predominantly been on Facebook. If they search ShaynaMelissa.com, Shayna Melissa Stockman, it will pop up. I am starting to more go where I can talk more freely and open, which for the most part, that will be the X, I think. And also live talks. There's going to be a lot more live in-person talks, lectures at wellness centers, followed by book signings and photo ops.
Awesome. Beautiful. We're super, super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and to share so much awesomeness with our audience here. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
Yeah, well, I guess for the most part, they want to see videos. That would be YouTube for now. And I believe my handle is just Shayna Melissa on YouTube. But also at World Wellness Expert, there's a bunch of those social media icons where they can follow me right from there. I would say you have to advocate for yourself. If you are not happy with your healthcare provider's recommendations, seek a second opinion. Reach out to me at worldwellnessexpert.com. I can do a one-on-one consult with you, steer you in the right direction. Oh, Patricia Julie says, love and appreciation. Thank you, Patricia Julie. Definitely click that subscribe button and then go over to my YouTube, click subscribe for more. All right, awesome. Yeah, be your own advocate. If your healthcare provider is not getting you healthy, go to worldwellnessexpert.com. Get the 30 days of daily dose of inspiration. Follow us both on YouTube channels, subscribe to them, and be your own advocate. You know what? I had to fire my old heart specialist. And I'm not saying doing it right now. Get your second opinion. You're happier, then fire your provider. And you know what? I could say now that my last providers that I had are now my clients, and I treat some of their family as well. So I think that is very powerful. If you want to eat at a restaurant, right? Look where the chefs are eating and go there. If you want to get healthier with your healthcare, look where the healthcare providers are going and go there.
Yeah, it's good advice, 100%. Thank you so much, Shayna. Really appreciate it. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us into the very end. Remember to follow, like, and share. Once again, I am the host here, Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to have uplifting conversations just like this